Cold doesn't kill slowly. In the Arctic, it can take your fingers, your feet, and your life before help even knows you're in trouble. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, armies operating in northern Europe, Siberia, and the Arctic learned a brutal lesson. Cold injuries could outnumber combat wounds. Fingers went numb, skin turned white, then waxy. Boots froze solid overnight. Metal equipment fused to bare skin. Once frostbite set in, the clock started ticking. The standard response at the time was dangerously wrong. Soldiers were often rushed into heated tents or placed near open fires. It felt logical. Warm the frozen body as fast as possible, but rapid, uneven heat caused severe tissue damage. Cells burst. Circulation failed to return properly. Amputations followed. Field medics began noticing something strange. Soldiers who were treated more gently, protected from wind, insulated and rewarmed slowly, often recovered better. Some regained feeling in minutes. That observation led to a quiet revolution in cold weather survival. And it started with shelter. The trick was simple in concept and powerful in execution. When frostbite threatened, soldiers built or modified shelters that trapped body heat without introducing direct heat. These shelters weren't tents in the modern sense. They were snow structures, canvas lean-tos, or dugouts reinforced with snow blocks. The key wasn't the material, it was airflow control. Wind is what kills warmth. Strip it away, and the human body becomes a surprisingly effective heater. Inside these shelters, frostbitten soldiers were laid down, fully clothed, often packed tightly with others. No fires, no hot metal, no sudden temperature spikes, just insulation, still air, and shared body heat. Within minutes, blood flow began to return. Tingling followed. Pain followed that. And that pain, counterintuitively, was a good sign. Here's the part most people miss. Snow is not the enemy. Wind is. Packed snow is an excellent insulator. Arctic peoples had known this for centuries. Military forces learned it the hard way. Snow shelters held temperatures just below freezing even when outside air plunged far lower. That stable environment prevented further freezing while allowing the body to re-warm itself safely. A soldier pulled from the wind and placed into a snow shelter stopped losing heat instantly. The body no longer fought a losing battle against convection. Circulation could recover without shock. This wasn't comfort. It was controlled survival. And it worked fast. Field reports from northern campaigns describe frostbitten hands regaining colour within 10 to 15 minutes after sheltering, not fully healed, not pain-free, but alive. That window mattered. Frostbite damage increases the longer tissue stays frozen. The shelter trick didn't cure frostbite, it stopped it from getting worse, and that distinction saved limbs. The shelters also reduced energy loss. Soldiers burned fewer calories just staying alive, preserving strength for movement once conditions improved. In environments where exhaustion could be fatal, that mattered as much as warmth. This wasn't luck. It was applied survival science before the term existed. One of the hardest lessons commanders enforced was no open flames near frostbite victims. It went against instinct. Fire equals warmth, but uneven heat damaged tissue already starved of blood. Worse, numb skin couldn't feel burns. Soldiers would unknowingly scorch frozen flesh. The shelter trick removed that risk entirely. Slow, uniform rewarming allowed blood vessels to reopen naturally. Painful, yes, but far less destructive. Modern frostbite treatment echoes this logic. Controlled rewarming is still the gold standard. Those early soldiers learned it in snow and darkness, long before textbooks caught up. These shelters weren't elaborate. A shallow trench cut into snow. A canvas stretched low to block wind. Snow piled along the edges for insulation. Sometimes nothing more than a sled overturned and packed with snow. Speed mattered. Soldiers were trained to build these in minutes. Everyone knew the drill. If someone lost feeling, shelter came first. Movement second. Fire last, if at all. That discipline saved lives, and it spread. What made this tactic powerful wasn't the shelter itself. It was the mindset. Instead of fighting the environment head-on, soldiers worked with it. Snow became insulation. Bodies became heat sources. Stillness became protection. This was pre-electric survival. No gadgets, no shortcuts, just understanding cause and effect. Cold kills by stealing heat faster than you can replace it. Stop the theft and survival becomes possible. That lesson applies far beyond the Arctic. Modern hikers, mountaineers, and even disaster responders still fall into the same trap. They chase heat instead of shelter. They light fires in wind. They ignore insulation. The Arctic shelter trick reminds us that protection comes before warmth. Block the wind. Trap air. Stabilize the environment. Let the body do what it's built to do. That knowledge isn't obsolete. It's timeless, and it came at a high cost. Thousands of soldiers didn't make it through those campaigns. Frostbite claimed fingers, toes, and lives. But every survival technique we inherit today was paid for with experience, often painful, often fatal. The Arctic shelter trick stands as one of those hard-earned lessons. Quiet, effective, almost invisible, yet powerful enough to turn minutes into survival. It wasn't heroic in the cinematic sense. No dramatic rescues, no last-second miracles, just preparation, discipline and respect for nature's rules. Sometimes that's enough. This channel exists to uncover exactly these kinds of forgotten skills. Not myths, not exaggerated legends. Real techniques used by real people when technology wasn't there to save them. The Arctic shelter trick isn't flashy, but it works, and that's the point. If you value history that teaches you how to survive, not just what happened, then you're in the right place. Take a moment to like this video if it gave you something new to think about. Share it with someone who loves history or the outdoors. And subscribe to Legacy of Survival for more true stories where ingenuity beat the odds. Because the past still has a lot to teach us, especially when survival is on the line.